One night when I got up to use the bathroom, I saw a huge dark figure standing on the rooftop of the building across from us. It slowly raised its arm as if waving at me. Just as I was puzzled, a pair of hands suddenly covered my mouth from behind. My mother's trembling voice came from next to my ear. "Don't make a sound, it can hear." The shadow was still waving endlessly. Its silhouette was much larger than a normal adult. My mom slowly pulled me back into the room, and only when we were completely out of the window's view did she let go of me, then rushed to the bedside and shook my dad frantically. "Wake up! Wake up! That thing is here." My dad, who had been sleeping soundly, suddenly sat up. "What did you say?" "It's him. That thing is here, on the rooftop across the street." My mom's voice was low and full of fear. Under the bright moonlight, I could see the color drain from my dad's face. He rushed to the window and yanked the curtains shut. The room was plunged into darkness. All these years, after moving so many times, how can he still find us? My dad's voice was hoarse. "Dad, Mom, what exactly is that thing?" I couldn't help asking. My mom immediately covered my mouth, her fingers ice cold. "Don't make a sound, it can hear." Dad sat heavily on the bed, looking at me with deep worry. The older the child gets, the stronger the scent becomes. My mom clenched her fists tightly, her eyes filled with hatred. "He already took one of our children. What will it take for him to leave us alone?" She was talking about my twin brother, but Dad had always told me that my brother died of illness when we were little. Clearly, there was more to the story. "Mom, how did my brother really die? And what was that thing just now?" My mom didn't answer. She just grabbed a face mask and put it over my mouth in a panic. "Sweetheart, don't ask anymore. Put the mask on. Try to breathe as quietly as you can." To be honest, I'm a 16-year-old guy. I'm not used to my mom calling me that. But in our house, there's always been one strict rule. After sunset, no one is allowed to call me by my name. I still remember that one night clearly. My mom muttered my name in her sleep, and after waking up, she slapped herself like she was mad, until blood seeped from the corner of her mouth. That night, we fled the city like fugitives. Dad dragged a suitcase from deep inside the wardrobe, just like he had last time. "Pack quickly," he said to Mom. "We have to go. Now." The truth is, we had only moved here 2 months ago. For as long as I can remember, we've been moving constantly. Rainy seasons in the south, freezing winters in the north, shabby partitioned rooms in urban villages. No place ever lasted more than a year. My mom suddenly collapsed, squatting on the floor. "How long do we have to keep living like this?" I grabbed her trembling hand. "Mom, what is that thing? Why are we always running?" Her palm pressed against my burning cheek, tears falling onto my shirt collar. "It's a sin your father and I committed." Years of fury finally erupted from me. I yanked her hand away and slumped to the floor. "Unless you tell me the truth, I'm not going anywhere." Dad's face darkened. He raised his arm and slapped me hard across the face. "You foolish child, have you forgotten what happened 7 years ago?" 7 years ago, memories burst open like a torn wound, fresh and bleeding. I was 9 at the time. We had just escaped to a small village. Going out at night was strictly forbidden. But a 9-year-old boy was never going to stay inside. That night, I climbed over the courtyard wall using the crooked-neck jujube tree and sneaked out. I followed the village kids to the abandoned bone-drying yard. Under the moonlight, the yard looked eerily pale. We played hide and seek. Henry was it, and I hid inside a pile of moldy firewood, watching as my friends were found one by one, each laughing and joining the search. Eventually, I was the only one left. John, where are you?" Henry's voice grew more and more anxious in the darkness. The other kids had all gone home. Only he stubbornly kept calling my name, circling the bone yard again and again. The pile of firewood was hot and damp, and I unknowingly fell asleep, until that scream pierced into my eardrums. I jolted awake to find the bone yard terrifyingly quiet. In the moonlight, only a streak of horrifying blood remained. Henry's cloth shoes lay abandoned at the end of the trail. The village was small, surrounded by mountains on 3 sides. On clear days, you could see Nanshan from the yard, and that trail of blood led toward the south. I looked in that direction and saw a huge dark figure standing among the farmland, waving at me. I froze in terror, wanting to scream but unable to make a sound. The villagers had heard Henry's scream and soon came flooding in from all directions with torches. What happened? What's going on? Henry's mother collapsed in grief, clutching the blood-soaked shoe. The village chief led the young men in pursuit along the blood trail. My family and I followed the crowd up the mountain. At first, it was just scattered drops of blood. Then it became splashes. It was only then that I realized there was so much blood in a human body. We followed the blood all the way to the top of Nanshan. There was no sign of Henry along the way. Eventually, we found a pile of mangled flesh next to his blood-stained clothes. By the time my parents arrived, I was standing in the crowd, completely stunned. Both of them were breathless, obviously having run nonstop the moment they heard the news. My dad came straight up and kicked me. "You little brat, who told you to sneak out at night?" They didn't talk to anyone in the village, didn't ask about Henry. They just grabbed me and hurried back down the mountain. At first, they were walking, then walking faster, and finally running full speed. When we got home, they said nothing, just packed up and drove away. Later, I heard the police had sent a huge search party into the mountains, but came up with nothing. What happened after that, I don't know. I only know that for years afterward, my dad anonymously sent money to Henry's family. Back in the present, I sat on the floor, my cheeks still numb from my dad's slap, but suddenly a thought flashed through my mind. Dad, the night Henry disappeared 7 years ago, I saw a dark figure waving at me too. Another slap came down hard. You've got the nerve to say that? You were the one who should have died that night. The night road was pitch black. My dad stepped on the gas like mad. The tires screeched around corners, almost crashing into a dirt truck head-on. In the back seat, my mom held my hand in a death grip, her palm clammy and cold, her nails nearly piercing my skin. "Slow down," she cried. Her voice trembled. "No." Dad stared straight ahead, his knuckles white. "The fog's coming. We have to get on the highway before it rolls in." I looked out the window. The night wind was dry. There wasn't a hint of fog, but it felt like my dad was racing something invisible, something chasing us. He stepped harder on the gas, and just as we were about to reach it, the fog rolled in without warning. The toll station lights blazed red. The barrier slowly began to lower. Dad didn't slow down. Bang! A violent crash. The sound of the barrier shattering exploded in my ears. My heart nearly stopped. "Dad, that's illegal!" I cried. He didn't answer. He just gripped the steering wheel tighter, his eyes locked on the dense fog ahead. Then suddenly, I saw a little boy standing on the side of the highway. He slowly raised his arm and waved at me. I caught a glimpse of Henry standing by the roadside, staring directly at us, the corners of his mouth slowly stretching into a grin. But I clearly remembered he died 7 years ago. My heart skipped a beat. I clenched my fists and slammed them hard against my dad's seat. "Dad, it's Henry." My mom immediately covered my mouth. "You saw wrong. That's not Henry." Dad's voice turned cold and tense, even more so than mine. The car kept moving forward. I struggled to look back. The roadside was a white, empty blur. Nothing there. But the ghostly image coiled around my memory like a fog rolling through my chest. Just then, a sharp burst of static exploded from the speakers, completely out of nowhere. But Dad never even turned on the radio. The next second, a cold, familiar voice came through. "John, where are you? John, I have to find you." Henry's voice? My blood froze. My face turned pale. My head felt like it would split open. I pressed one hand hard to my pounding temple, the other pointed at the radio, but my mouth, though opening and closing, couldn't form a single sound. Mom noticed my reaction. "What's wrong, sweetheart?" Fear gripped my throat like an invisible hand. Couldn't they hear it? Was I the only one hearing that voice? Mom followed my stiff finger to the strange radio. She flinched as if from a nightmare. "John, the radio." Dad punched the speakers. The deathly voice stopped abruptly. I collapsed back in my seat, gasping for breath. Trembling, I asked them, Mom, something's haunting me, isn't it?" That question drained everything out of me. "Sweetheart, don't ask," Mom said, her voice trembling, looking away from me. A surge of rage burst in my chest. Years of hiding like rats, always in the dark. I'd had enough. What have we been running from all these years? Tell me. The inside of the car fell deathly silent. Maybe it was just my imagination, but the temperature suddenly plummeted. Right then, the radio came back to life. "Due to heavy fog, traffic restrictions are in place. The highway will be closed in all directions. Vehicles currently in transit, please exit the highway at the nearest off-ramp." Fog churned outside the window, visibility was near zero. A highway exit appeared up ahead. Dad slowed down and pulled into the toll station. From a distance, I could already see a car parked by the exit, its red and blue lights flashing. I felt a sense of relief and turned to tell my mom. "Mom, we can," but the words stuck in my throat. Mom was tense like a drawn bowstring, her face ghostly pale, eyes avoiding that police car like it would burn her. Dad's jaw was clenched, the knuckles on his hands turning white on the steering wheel. Why were my parents afraid of the police? My confusion only deepened. Dad took a deep breath, trying to force a calm expression. The car slowly rolled past the patrol car. Only when the red and blue lights vanished from the rearview mirror did their shoulders finally slump in silent relief. "Let's find a place to rest for the night." We found a nearby motel. Only 2 rooms left. We had to sleep separately. Luckily, my room was right next to my parents', so if anything happened, they could respond in time. The tension of the night had completely drained me. As soon as I walked in, I collapsed onto the bed, too afraid to look at the thick, suffocating darkness. But when I opened my eyes, I found myself curled up in a cramped closet. It was cold and sticky inside. From somewhere in the darkness, a chilling voice rose, slippery and unnatural, like it had crawled out of the deepest pits of the earth. Over and over, it called my name. "John, John, where are you?" It wasn't Henry's voice. This one was colder, filled with something that pierced right into my bones. I trembled violently in the dark, recognizing something eerily familiar about the scene. I held my breath and leaned toward the narrow crack in the closet door. Peering through it, I saw a towering black figure. It stood in the room, not quite human, calling my name again and again with an inhuman tone. "John, John, 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 John." The shadow wouldn't leave my mind. My head throbbed as if it would explode. I thrashed, sweating and wide-eyed, before everything suddenly went black. "Sweetheart, wake up, wake up." My mother's voice pulled me out of the void. I struggled to open my eyes. Her tear-streaked face hovered above me, her hands cupping my cheeks. I wanted to wipe her tears, but I realized I couldn't move. My father was holding me tightly. When I looked down, I saw something in my hand, a cold, shiny metal coat hanger. The room was in shambles. In the corner, the hotel front desk clerk was crouched down, moaning in pain, blood seeping through his fingers where he clutched his head. And then I understood, but confusion and horror crashed over me even harder. Wasn't I just sleeping? Collapsed to the ground, shaking. What happened? The front desk clerk scrambled out of the room in terror. My mother sobbed and then finally spoke. "It's our fault. It happened a year ago. We left you and your brother alone at home while we went out. You two were playing hide and seek. But when we came back, you were both on the floor. You were holding a knife, and your brother was gone. We fled that night, left your grandparents to take care of his body. After seeing many doctors, we finally learned you had dissociative identity disorder. If someone calls your name at night, you might lose control and eliminate them. Henry was one of them too. I felt like I was struck by lightning. Every memory, Every shadow, every strange moment, it all made sense. That massive black shadow that haunted me in dreams, whispering my name, was my brother. All these years, Dad hadn't been running from something. He was protecting me. I whispered, "Then what about the hotel clerk just now?" My mother explained, "You left your luggage at the front desk. He couldn't reach us, so he called your name." And then, before she could finish, sirens erupted outside. Heavy, rapid footsteps thundered through the hallway, like war drums. I was taken away. The trial ended. I was committed to a psychiatric hospital. There, I said goodbye to the past, to the shadow, and to Henry.